March 21st. It's a beautiful day here in Michigan, and we're going to do some flying. But before I go out in the airplane, today's kind of a special day actually. It'll be my first solo flight in the Mooney, so I'm looking forward to that. I feel pretty confident, not too confident, but pretty confident, and look forward to going out and doing a few touch and goes and maybe head out somewhere and just kind of work on procedural stuff and try and understand the plane a little bit better. So as most of us do, and I'm just getting into, I am going to be flying with an iPad. I recently picked up a second-hand iPad Mini 3 and got a RAM mount for it. So you can see that here, the claw mount for the RAM claw mount. And I'm going to go out to the airport in a little while and try and find the best place to mount that. Probably on the yoke, but not on the shaft of the yoke because it's such a short throw on the Mooney. So anyways, we'll find the best place to put that. Really what I want to talk about in this video is something I'm trying to overcome, or I did overcome, and I'm sure many have, but I thought it'd be pretty informational, pretty informative for folks who haven't figured this out yet. So unlike probably the majority of aviators out there using Foreflight, I am going to be using FlyQ by Seattle Avionics. So I got turned on to FlyQ by an instructor of mine, and it was kind of a deal you couldn't pass up, a lifetime VFR and IFR subscription this past Black Friday. So, I think it was, I don't know, $400, but now I have a subscription for life and I don't have to worry about monthly subscriptions. There are a few things that FlyQ doesn't have that Foreflight has, or at least that's my understanding. I've never used Foreflight to a great extent. One being the glide rings. I know that's not in FlyQ yet. And the other one having integrated checklists for the airplane aren't in FlyQ yet. I've always struggled fumbling around with a checklist. You make a checklist too small and you got to flip through a bunch of pages, or you make it too big and it's huge and you don't know where to put it. So it was really important to me to be able to put it on my EFB, on my iPad. So there is a way in FlyQ to do that using their documents function. And I think mine turned out pretty good. So I just want to take a minute and kind of show them to you and walk you through the process, how to do it. That way you can do it. Anybody can with a PC, and you can easily make checklists and you can modify them and upload new ones and then use them when you're flying. And I think it's going to be really beneficial for me. So anyways, because I found it so beneficial for me, I thought I'd pass it along. All right, so I apologize for the poor quality of the video. I'm working towards getting a screen capture program for the computer, but just haven't done that yet. So right now you get an iPhone videoing a computer, but you can just bear with me. So just talk through the process real quick of how I did this, how I made my checklists, and again, maybe it'll work for you. So I started with everything in Excel. I had been using a paper checklist previously, and so I had a lot of the content. I just needed to get it into a more usable format. So what you see here is the pre-flight checklist, and every tab at the bottom I've got a different checklist. So pre-flight, engine start, taxi, run up, so on and so forth. So I just used the same format through here so that they had the same spacing, and it ended up being similar when I did the next step. Okay, so you can have as many as you want. You could conceivably make these all in one document if you want, and just start, as you get further down, put in engine start here and list them, and taxi here and list them. And I think that would work as well. But I wanted mine in separate documents. So once you have the information populated, of course save it. That way you can always go back and edit it, or add or remove. So then at each tab, all I do is go to File, Print, and I feel like this is an underused, or fairly underused option. Instead of printing it to a printer, you just print it to a PDF. So I use this Microsoft Print to PDF. It should be on any any computer you might have, and you can kind of see the preview over here, how it will turn out. And you just click print, and really all you're doing is saving it as a PDF. So you can see all of them that I saved previously on my computer here. Again, each tab I saved independently. This is also a little hint or a tidbit of information that turned out pretty good. Put a number in front of each one if you want them in a specific order, because FlyQ ends up organizing them alphabetically, and you can't move them around like you could an app on your iPhone. You know, you could reorganize that. You can't do that in FlyQ quite yet. So I just listed them 1 through 9, kind of in the order, typical order of events for a flight, and then they show up in the right order when we go over to FlyQ. So you just name the file, whatever, and save it, and then go to the next tab. I'll just cancel out of here. Go to the next tab and do the same thing, right? Print it, print to a PDF. It should come up to the same folder, name it, save it, and then that creates your list. Okay. So now I have a list of checklists. You can open them all up as PDFs and review them, look at them, make sure they look the way you want. I will caution you, they probably will look a little bit differently as you put them over onto the iPad. So again, maybe try 1 or 2 of them, make some adjustments, get your kind of your overall layout figured out, then populate all your tabs and print them all. You know, I did this, I don't know, probably in an hour or an hour and a half this morning, just sitting on the couch. Okay, so once you have all of your PDFs saved, we don't need Excel anymore. Okay, for those who didn't know you have it, if you have FlyQ, you also have FlyQ Online. So to access FlyQ Online, you just go to seattleavionics.com/FlyQ EFB, or just Google it, FlyQ, and it'll get you to Seattle Avionics homepage here. Then you click the FlyQ Online tab right here in the middle at the top. Mine's going to automatically log in, or I'm already logged in, so it's going to pop right in. You may have to put username, password in. Once you're in here, you go over to this Documents tab, okay? And then usually this will be completely blank. You can see I created a folder for this airplane. You know, maybe in the future I'll be flying more airplanes, different airplanes. So anyways, I wanted a folder for this airplane. So I can open it up, and you can see I've got all of my checklists in here. Now, it didn't just happen automatically. I can show you, or I will show you how to add a checklist. But again, you can see that I have them in here and kind of how they work. So to add one, you just go to plus documents, and you know, remember where you saved them. So you go to this computer and browse for a file. Here are mine. Again, I've already been taking them over here, but they're on desktop and in a folder named with the tail number. Then you just click on it and click add, and you'll see it upload complete, right? And you just have to be a little patient, which I tend not to be. There we go. Now kick back to the screen. You can see that it added the new document at the top. The other document that's just like it is at the bottom. So I certainly don't need 2 of these. So to get rid of it, you just click edit and delete. Okay. I mentioned earlier about numbering them, because moving them is only moving them within folders. It's not moving them within a certain order here. And you can see even on the FlyQ Online, they show up in the order, it looks like, in which you updated them potentially, or the order in which you uploaded them. When you get over to the iPad, again, it shows up alphabetically, so that's why we had to number it. Okay, so that's all you have to do. Okay, we've added, you have to obviously go through that process for each document, add them all in here, click done when you're done. Now you have them in here, and you can see them. Now, to me, it's not really important what they look like in this screen, because this is not the screen I'm going to be using them in. It's more important how they look on the iPad. So we'll kind of click over to the iPad now, show you how it looks like, or what it looks like in the app. Okay, so first thing, we're gonna open FlyQ EFB. Okay, so just this little tab here. And it defaults to the maps, so it kind of shows where I am. Right here is my airport, Sparta, Paul C. Miller, 8 Delta 4 is where I fly out of. So what we'll do is we'll click over to the Documents tab at the bottom, and then you can see I've got my folder named 6708 Uniform. The rest of the documents are documents kind of preloaded in there by Seattle Avionics. So we'll open that folder, and you can see all of my checklists. Now there's 3 that I haven't opened yet. I just spot checked a few. So the first checklist I'm going to use is pre-flight. So I'll get to the airport, pre-flight it, and you can see it. It turned out really nice. It's just a nice numbered list. The one thing you can't do is, check mark things. I think if I had Adobe Acrobat and I could put check marks in a PDF, working check marks, I could probably make that work. But I don't really see the reason. There's no, you don't put an X next to your paper checklist when you're using that in the airplane. I'm just going to use this as I go step by step. So when you need to go to a different checklist, you just click done and you go to your next checklist, engine start. You'll see after a couple seconds the menu at the top and bottom will go away and you can see the entire checklist. Again, just tap on it and click done and go to the next one, and so on and so forth. Again, if a person wanted to, they could put this all in one PDF and have each checklist its own page, and they could swipe left and right to make the next page and the next checklist come up. But what I didn't want to do is, while I was in the airplane, have to swipe left and right to try and find the right checklist, when I can just go back to my menu of checklists and say, okay, we're landing now. And I also wanted to be able to plug in different checklists as I find them necessary. So for instance, I can already kind of guess that I'm going to want a descent checklist, or maybe I'll add that into the cruise checklist, cruise and then descent. Kind of, set a target manifold pressure, or set target speeds for descents, or all kinds of things you can do. So that's my little tutorial on how to do checklists on FlyQ. Again, it's not an integrated system. We're using their documents function, which uses PDFs or photos to maintain documents. I think it's going to work really well and be a great way for me to stay on top of my checklists. But we'll see. Maybe FlyQ will continue to develop. I'm sure they will. It seems like a great organization. They'll continue to develop, and maybe they'll integrate their own checklists. But for now, this is a good start. So I'll put a link to my Excel sheet and maybe just a couple other instructions or thoughts that I have in the description below. I'd love to hear your comments if this works for you, or maybe you have a different way that worked for you. So let me know on that. Again, we're all in this together, and that's one of the biggest reasons I'm in the aviation community, is everybody's really just trying to help each other out and get to the best possible solution. So these EFBs that we have now are tremendous. They're tremendous resources, but only if you really know how to leverage them. So hopefully this helps at least one of you leverage your EFB, FlyQ specifically, just a little bit better, and keeps us all safe. So thanks for taking the time to check this out, and again, hope it helps. We'll see you all real soon.